All right, this is Ubaid on behalf of We Electronics, and in this video, we'll be talking about some concepts relevant to utility. Okay, so in past few videos, we've been talking about marginal benefit, okay, as well as the concept of law of diminishing marginal return. Okay, in this video, we'll extend those concepts to definitions like marginal utility per dollar, okay, marginal utility in general. Okay, so when it comes to your marginal utility, this is your marginal utility. When it comes to your marginal utility has to do with satisfaction. Okay, however, this has to do with change in satisfaction. This is change in satisfaction. Now, in terms of economics, okay, we're talking about satisfaction of consuming a good product or a service. So this is change in satisfaction. Hence, utility has to do with satisfaction in general. Okay, this is utility. Okay, so this is satisfaction. All right, now, if you were to look this up on a graph, okay, assuming that this is your graph over here, and over here you have utility, okay, further down on the horizontal axis, okay, you have, okay, your utility, and let's assume that this is your dollar over here, so the money that you spend, okay, on your x-axis. All right, now we know that as a person consumes a product, okay, as he consumes more of a product, for each additional unit that he consumes, okay, the utility goes down, the satisfaction goes down. Okay, so initially the curve may look something like this, okay, with more of a slope. Okay, however, as you move further up, it will move towards a more vertical line. Okay, so this would be a more vertical line. So let's say something like this. Suppose this is your vertical line. Because obviously for each unit, okay, that he's consuming, okay, the utility per dollar, okay, is becoming less and less. Okay, because the marginal utility, the change in utility is being reduced. As a result of which, this is more of a vertical line until it reaches its peak. Okay, suppose this is your peak over here. Okay, this is where the person realizes that the utility that he used to get from consuming this product or service is no more. Okay, which means he's not getting any satisfaction from that product or service. Maybe he's saturated with that product or service. Sort of like your application market. Okay, if you have applications, you download applications on your phone, on your Android, so on and so forth. Okay, and you know that when um, there was a demand for applications in the market, okay, people used to download a lot of applications and they used to make a lot of applications. Okay, however, now that the demand has been reduced because of the number of options available in the market, okay, the um, satisfaction or the benefit from producing one more application, which is more of a substitute nowadays rather than having something new, okay, is less and less. Okay, which means your marginal utility, if you spend money on applications, okay, your marginal utility goes down. Okay, becomes less and less. This is if the application is already there in the market and you have substitutes for that app in a particular industry, as a result of which, okay, the more applications you create, which are similar, okay, to the applications being sold on Google Play or the App Store, for example, okay, the less of the utility and the benefit and the profit, okay, from that a particular application, whether you're uploading the application or downloading the application, whether you're a consumer or a supplier. All right. So that has to do with marginal utility. Okay. Marginal utility per dollar. So over here you have change in utility. And as the change in utility is reduced, it reaches a point where, okay, the customer is no longer getting satisfaction from producing a product. As a matter of fact, okay, he doesn't like consuming this product. Okay, if he has to consume this product. Okay, which means unless he makes a switch, okay, this is a loss in terms of satisfaction, in terms of utility. Okay, spending money on something that is not providing him satisfaction. As a result of which, okay, suppose this is your peak. Okay, what he's going to do is going to consume another product, okay, which may or may not be the same. Okay, maybe a similar product. Okay, so for that reason, okay, let's say for example, he's going to go ahead and consume another product, and the other product will have the same consequences. Okay, you'll have a peak. This person will reach a peak where the utility or marginal utility per dollar will be reduced to a point where he's no longer satisfied. He's not getting any satisfaction from consuming this product. Hence, when he's spending money, if he does spend money on consuming this product, on making this product, okay, he's not getting much out of it. All right. So that has to do with marginal utility, okay, which is change in satisfaction. And then your marginal utility per dollar, which is different than marginal benefit. So marginal utility per dollar has to do with the amount of satisfaction per dollar. So this is amount of satisfaction, amount of satisfaction. This is satisfaction per dollar. All right, and we know that this satisfaction keeps going down, okay, as it reaches its peak. And once it reaches its peak, okay, the satisfaction is possibly negative, okay, because there's a downward slope here, okay. So the marginal utility per dollar could be negative because of a downward slope. Now, this is different than your marginal benefit. Okay, this is different than your marginal benefit. Now, marginal benefit has to do with actually spending money based on utility or satisfaction. So marginal benefit or marginal benefit per dollar, MB per dollar, is different compared to your marginal utility per dollar. Okay, marginal utility is simply talking about satisfaction per dollar. Okay, at this point, the consumer is not spending his or her money, does not have a budget constraint line, does not have any budget set up for spending money. Okay, so on and so forth. At this point, we're just talking about satisfaction. How much satisfaction or what kind of a change in satisfaction do we see on the graph? All right. However, as we move towards the marginal benefit, we're now talking about spending money. Okay, and this has to do with satisfaction. So the consumer, if he or she spends money based on satisfaction, this has to do with marginal benefit. And the amount of marginal benefit that he or she gets, okay, by spending money, okay, this has to do with marginal benefit per dollar. Okay, and the curve will look the same over here. It will be the same graph as far as I understand. Okay, however, instead of marginal utility, we're not talking about marginal benefit. Okay, so these are some of the terms and terminologies relevant to utility, satisfaction, marginal utility. On behalf of V Electronics, this is Obey. Have yourself a great day.